watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Good evening, welcome to Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, the culture. Too much culture in the city. That's what I mean by that. I'm going to clear up some posts that I made today. Shanae Williams, Hezzy. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Today, I want to talk about just a couple posts that I have put out today, and I did get a text message or two about it. And I want to just be clear about what why I put those posts up. Right? What is it that I was actually. Right, it's a culture thing, right? And I put them up because I want to just show people the pattern, right, that we have here in the city of Yonkers, a pattern that is a culture. So today I put up some posts, and I don't know if people may have taken them in an offensive or disrespectful way, but they were not meant to be disrespectful or offensive at all. One of the posts was about Stephen Dolan and the fact that the van that he may have been driving could have been a city vehicle, which is something that I thought of in the beginning, but then I was told it wasn't, or it was a blue van, at first I thought it was white. Maybe it was the Mandela effect. I don't know. But, a source that's saying, it may have been, and again, some inside information, may have been a city vehicle. And I also mentioned in that same post that and it was a question I posed, was $1 million offered to the Hackett family, to settle the situation, the incident, the tragedy where their son was killed by Stephen Dolan, who was driving drunk. And so I didn't mean it in a way that some people may have took it as I was saying that they sold out. It's not what I meant by it at all. The Hackett family, I have a lot of respect for them, and I have a lot of sympathy and empathy for what they're going through. Losing a loved one is very difficult. And so I would never judge whatever decisions they make or even, give my opinion on how they should go about it, right? What they're dealing with is their personal, tragedy, and whatever decisions they make do not impact me or anyone else outside of their family. And so whatever it is that they decide on how to proceed, move forward, regardless of what that may be, I'm always going to support that and respect it, right? I don't know what justice is for them. That's up to them to, make that decision. That's not, up to me or anyone else. So if that's something that may have been offered, I don't know. That's what I'm hearing from sources. But the point of the post and the other post that I put up about the police officer who had left a bar under the influence, crashed into a fire apparatus, and killed himself, again, was not to be disrespectful to the police officer or to insinuate anything about the police officer. The point of the post is just to show a pattern of offering money when things happen that they want to keep quiet and sweep under the rug, right? A pattern of people who work for the city driving under the influence, and at times in a city vehicle. And this pattern has, to me, I kind of come to the conclusion that it's a culture. It's a culture that exists here in the city of Yonkers where people just continue to do this, and it has not really been, nipped in the bud. They've never really suffered any real consequences. When you see someone else getting into a situation where they drive drunk, they crash, they hurt somebody, or even kill somebody, and then they are somewhat protected. It's kept quiet. it's swept under the rug, what does that send? What message does that send to other people, right? And so you're going to have this continue because no one's facing any real consequences. And so people then develop this culture of this untouchable entitlement that they can do whatever they want and get away with it. And so then they don't have the fear of that consequences that will tell them, maybe I shouldn't get behind the wheel of this vehicle. You know what? I could lose my job. This is a big deal. I can go to jail for a very long time, right? And so that's why I put the post up, because it's not the first time. It's not the second time. You see what happened over with officer, or I should say Detective Sergeant Frank Galdino, police officer who was killed on Tuckahoe when a 16-year-old unlicensed driver was recklessly driving along Tuckahoe Road, losing control of his BMW, crashing into the police officer who was on duty or heading home. I'm not exactly sure, but he was in his police car, killed instantly. And many people are wondering, what's going on with that? Whatever happened to the 16-year-old boy? Well, we don't know. No more information has been put out, has not been spoken about by anyone. Our elected officials, tight-lipped. And so again, this is a culture, right? And we have to speak about it. We have to make it public. We have to talk about it, because that's how we stop it. That's how we nip it in the bud and we prevent it from happening again. We can't just try to hide it, keep it low. We also have to understand that many of these incidents result in lawsuits that result in million-dollar settlements or multi-million-dollar settlements, costing the taxpayers money. And maybe the people deserve it. I'm not saying they don't. And we have to compensate them for our negligence. And I say ours because we are the taxpayers who are footing the bill. We are the individuals who vote for the officials that cover things up or that allow these things to continue. And therefore, we have to pay. Right? We are the ones footing the bill. So we should know about that, because you hear the city council president talking about budget and not having enough money. Whose back will we get this money from? Well, this is more wasteful spending. How many lawsuits has the city paid, has it settled with people for drunk driving incidents, police brutality incidents, school incidents with teachers and students, or retaliatory firings? Millions and millions of dollars. And that could go to our schools. And so we have to talk about it. We have to nip it in the bud, right? Because I believe this culture has evolved over time, and it's tied to many of the problems that I've discussed here on my podcast. So I'm not accusing the Hackett family of selling out or any wrongdoing. My point is to bring transparency, again, as money paid in these settlements are paid by the city taxpayers. And so we should know if settlements have been paid or are being offered, because we are ultimately the ones footing the bill, right? Especially because, again, our school district needs every dollar the city could find. We know we need to know how much money is being paid out in lawsuits. We have to account for that. That's more unnecessary spending. And we have to work on stopping these situations, right? Because first of all, we don't want people getting hurt. We don't want anyone dying, right? That's the most important thing. And we also need to save our tax money. So we have to minimize these lawsuits or eliminate them altogether, right? Not only will it save us money, but again, it will prevent tragedies like that has impacted the life of the Hackett family, right? It's not the first incident where a city employee has driven drunk or under the influence, crashed, resulting in death, injury, or lawsuits. However, it is often kept quiet, swept under the rug, and forgotten until the next tragedy. So when will the culture of feeling so untouchable that you would risk your job, your life, others' lives, and your freedom by driving under the influence, at times in a city vehicle? So when someone sees this, right, other employees see this, and they get away with it, what message does that send? And there have been times where individuals have been with the person who's committed the crime or the violation or whatever it is, and they have been helpful to that person in hiding it and sweeping it under the rug by simply not saying anything about it. And I get it. You don't want to be the guy that speaks up and ruffles any feathers. You just want to go to work. You just want to get paid and go home. But then the cycle in this culture continues, right? And in fact, some of these individuals receive promotions and raises after driving drunk and crashing into someone and injuring them. We've seen it happen with Akeem Jamal. His whole family, in fact, now works for the city, I hear. So there isn't any real fear. There isn't anything stopping someone from doing this. There's no consequence, so there's no need to think twice. Hey, if something happens, I know who to call. I'm going to get out of it. I know so-and-so. I'm connected. And we have to end this culture, right? We have to end this culture. So that's what I wanted to, I wanted to clarify that, right? I wanted to clarify that because I didn't want to make it seem like I was saying anything negative toward the family. I wouldn't do that. That's not, the case at all. But I'm trying to show the pattern. Do something wrong. We try to hide it, pay people off, keep them quiet, maybe have them sign non-disclosure agreements. And then we move on. And then it happens again. And the same thing. And then we move on. And then it happens again, right? So is another police officer going to be killed while on duty or on his way home after a long shift, right? Is he going to be a victim because of someone's entitled, irresponsible, reckless behavior? We change the culture. We change the culture by speaking out, by having transparency, by making it public, by having these conversations. That's how we change this rotten culture. Employees should be deathly afraid to drive drunk, especially in city vehicles, or big-time contributors should understand very well that just because you donate a lot of money doesn't mean that you will get away with whatever you do wrong and that you will not face consequences. They have to understand that your money will not buy you freedom or special privileges. We have to speak out and talk about this, right? We must. Otherwise, we'll see it happen all over again. And it's not because I'm being negative or I'm wishing this to happen on anyone, because I'm not, but it's a pattern. It's a culture. And we don't change negative behavior by picking and choosing what to consider a problem, which is to be discussed publicly, and what problems we don't want to discuss publicly or acknowledge publicly. We must talk about it all. You cannot be biased because it affects you and you don't want it to be mentioned. We must show the public, and that is why Basement Politics exists, to have transparency and inform the people of what's happening. Show them these patterns and these behaviors so that we can then move forward making better and more informed decisions. That's the goal. That's my goal, right? So those who, choose and pick what they want to speak about or talk publicly about, to me, are coming from an emotional place. They're not coming from a place of wanting to make change overall for the betterment of the city. And maybe some people may be looking to get revenge. And maybe that's why I get some of the information I do, because some of it seems like people want revenge. And I have to filter it, and I try to do my best. And I try to do my best to verify. But I get a lot of information for all kinds of reasons, I'm sure, right? But I don't make things up. That's one thing. None of the information that I presented on my show, I just completely made up. I woke up one day and said, hey, I think I'm going to say this about so-and-so. No, everything that I've mentioned on my podcast has been from information provided to me by people who not only live here in the city of Yonkers, but who were from Yonkers but live elsewhere, people who work for the city, people who used to work for the city, residents, taxpayers, and everyone in between. They give me the information. I speak about it. I try to research some of the things that they tell me to give more detail, but ultimately it all comes from the people, and it's not completely made up. It's not personal with me. I'm not seeking revenge. I am now seeking to inform people about what's happening here in the city of Yonkers. So that's what I do, basement politics. That's my goal, right? So again, I'm not looking for people to go to jail, right? That's not what I'm looking to do. I'm not seeking to make personal attacks on basement politics. That's not my goal. It's all about giving people access to what is transpiring behind closed doors, so the people, the voters, can be completely informed on their elected officials, and not only the decisions that they're making, but how these decisions impact them. And that is why I put this information down, because ultimately the decisions that our elected officials impact us in one way or another. And why are the reasons that they make these decisions? And so that's why sometimes I talk about these personal relationships. It's not to just talk about gossip or bochinche, as we say, but to help you understand why certain decisions are made by our council members or other elected officials. Because these relationships that they have, these connections, have an impact on their decision making, right? For example, why did Tasha Diaz not remain steadfast in her initial support of the Affordable Housing Ordinance? Or why did Lakeisha Collins Bellamy introduce the term limit extension all by herself? And so on and so forth. Personal relationships and backroom deals dictate policy making in Yonkers. So when you have personal relationships, which many do, you see a culture take shape where friendships dictate the way our council members represent their constituents, who they take the least time to get to know, the least interest in. This allows for individuals to avoid consequences that otherwise would be levied on the rest of us as they look out for each other, which is part of that culture. A culture that costs taxpayers millions of dollars a year, yet no one representing the people will speak of this culture. And so it continues to cost money and at times human lives, right? A culture that takes priority over your own flesh and blood, dividing families, friends, and communities in order to sustain itself. So I want to apologize for my post, as I was not trying to be disrespectful or, accusatory to anyone, the Hackett family specifically. That was not my goal, but just to show a pattern, right? The pattern. The people of this culture that has manifested itself within our city, politics, and for many has intruded their personal lives, but ultimately this culture impacts all of us in some way or another. A culture that, if left unchecked and allowed to stay in the shadows, will only continue to keep things the same, which from what I'm gathering from people, right, is not what people want. So we all have to, come together and decide, what are we going to do? I've presented this information to you. I've been doing this show 2 years now. I've given you a lot of information, things that many people did not even know was happening. And I have a lot more information, but some of that information is going to be kept in my back pocket, as they say. Not all of it is meant for the podcast, but I've given enough for people to understand by now that we need to be better at choosing our elected officials. We need to vote for change in a lot of these races. Otherwise, nothing will change and you guys can no longer complain. You have to accept the culture, live with it, and move on. So that's what I wanted to say. And so, again, to the Hackett family, I apologize if you guys were offended or, and not, they didn't reach out to me and say anything, but other people did. Again, I'm just wondering, is that what was offered to them in order to, stop investigating or stop, speaking out about this? Remember, CJ's dad was posting up signs saying Spano must go. A lot of, attacks have been levied against the administration in recent months. This is a tough election, probably the toughest that the mayor has ever had to face. And so they may be looking to try to quiet things down by settling. And if that was the case and the Hackett family decided to go that route, that is their decision. And I respect it. I would never, think that I know what's best for them. This is a difficult situation. And, you want to get to the healing process as soon as possible. And the longer this stays active and, you have these trials and stuff that are going to be coming up, healing is really not going to start until all of that is over. So the quicker they can get to that point, the quicker they can start to get to that place where they can begin to heal. So I understand it. As someone who's lost, people that I love so dearly, it's tough. It's very, very tough. So I don't question it. I wasn't questioning them. I was just questioning if that was something that had happened. And again, it's to show a pattern of the city officials trying to keep things quiet. But we cannot. We have to put it out there because otherwise it won't stop. It'll continue. And other people will get hurt. And so we have to ultimately stop this. And and we do that by transparency. The culture will change when the executive of the city changes. It all starts at the top. Anthony DiMaggio hasn't been asked to stop speaking on the CJ incident. I told Yvonne I stopped. No, I didn't say you were. I didn't say you were. And yeah, it could start at the top. But if people don't know that, or if people are not informed of this, then it's not going to change, right? They're not going to make the vote to make that change, a reality. So information is key. People need to be informed. And so that's what I'm doing here. And we must have 100% transparency. That's the only way we can truly have faith in our government. You see John Rubel there? A lot of people don't have faith in that guy. They say he's not an honest man. Right? He called a woman a scammer, an advocate, in front of the people that she advocates for. That's the kind of officials we want to have. Too bad we don't have more viable alternative candidates to vote for. And then some of our political runs for re-election unchallenged. And it's interesting you say that, as David Tubiolo popped up on the screen. And we know that there was that whole issue with David Tubiolo and Giulio Tata, where, they didn't want anyone to challenge David Tubiolo. And so, according to, what was being said, David Tubiolo's mom, who works up at the Board of Elections, and this is why that's an issue, right? And I'm not saying she did anything, but maybe if she wasn't there, we wouldn't even be questioning it. But supposedly she got information on Giulio Tata's voting record in Florida. And they said he voted in 2 places. And so, he dropped out of the race because of that. They threatened to, I guess, try to pursue legal action or whatever. And so, rather than let the people decide, I mean, is that how you have to do it? Right? Let the people decide. If you truly are the, person that the people want because you've done the best job, then you should have no problem. You're going to get reelected, right? But David Tubiolo goes unchallenged. And David Tubiolo's dad is the former Republican chair. He had to step down when David Tubiolo turned coat and became a Democrat, right? After he was a Republican. And so, but really, his dad is still, influential person in the GOP. And will we ever see a true viable Republican candidate ever challenge David Tubiolo? And so, I mean, that's just crazy. How do you get the best of the best when, the guy has it easy. He's just, he's got it made in the shade. He's been doing this since he was like 12. He's been elected, right? I'm just kidding, but he was very young. And, his mom and dad, and they assure that he continues to, get reelected every year, right? To May's point, absolutely. There are perennial political non-aggression pacts in many elections. No Dem challenger for Breen. Yeah, there you go. No Republican challenger for Diaz. Disgraceful, right? That's true, right? You're right. You're right, and that's what I've said. In many of these elections are won in the primaries. The Democratic elections are won in the primaries, right? Because there isn't any Republican challenger. So once they win in June, that's it. Once Diaz, if she wins in June, she won. right? Pretty much. And Mike Breen doesn't have a challenger, so he's home. Oh, actually, no, well, in the primary, yeah, he has a primary. So if he wins his primary, he has Ron Shute, challenging him in the primary. And but if he wins that, and he's pretty much, he won. He got reelected. And has happened time and time again, election after election. Or if there isn't anyone, they will put a candidate that that's on their team, that's on their side, just to clog up a line, right? And we saw that happen back in 2021 when that guy right there, John Rubo, was running for reelection, and one of his friend's sisters clogged up the Working Family Party line. Another trick that they pulled, and I understand the Working Family, the people who had that, you guys can't prevent your own party from being, used. I mean, you guys didn't have a clue. How does that happen? How does the candidate you guys want to endorse not get your line? I don't know. That's crazy. That's weird. Right. I'm the only one challenging Freddie. You're not challenging me, Jose. I'm not running against you. What do you mean? Freddie, I'm challenging Alvarado. I know. I'm joking. Jose Diaz is challenging Jose Alvarado. So he's the only, besides Anthony Moranti, who will be challenging whoever wins in the primary for mayor, the mayoral primary race, right? And so there's Moranti there. And then there's Jose Diaz. He is challenging Jose Alvarado, the Democrat. Jose Diaz, a Hispanic man, obviously, not related to Tasha Diaz, thank God for him, is challenging Jose Alvarado. He's a Republican. He's a Hispanic Republican. That's right. But it doesn't matter, right? Because the guy is very passionate about helping the people in the community. He's not looking to enrich himself. He's not looking to be a no-show candidate or official. He's actually looking to general election this November. I am endorsing my guy, not Alvarado, I said the wrong thing. Jose Diaz. See, you got to change your name, Jose. We're going to call you Joe. Joe Diaz, okay? Joe Diaz, Jose Diaz is the guy that you should be voting for. There's a lot of Hispanic business owners over there in District, where you guys are in, 17, is it? District 17, that are very upset with Jose Alvarado. There he goes right there. The guy's MIA. I mean, where's Jose? Where's Jose? No way, Jose. I can't find him. So yes, Jose Diaz is the people's candidate. I would, vote for him. If you want to see some difference, you want to see change. I mean, like Donald Trump said, right? What do you have to lose? When he was talking to black voters, what do you have to lose? You've been voted, and black voters right now, right? Let's not to get off top, but black voters right now are regretting voting for Biden. A lot of them, especially with this migration wave, right? You see a lot of black folks in Chicago, in New York. They're like, hold up, wait a minute. What about us, right? Now, okay. So some people are saying, well, wait a minute, are you guys being, discriminating or, but no, I get it. And this is something I talked about for years. I've said this. I said illegal immigration, mass migration impacts primarily people in impoverished communities. Unfortunately, Black Americans and Hispanic Americans have a higher rate of poverty. So we're going to be, you see us a lot in the hood, right? And that's where the migrants start off. It's not like they go to Beverly Hills or Scarsdale, right? They don't start off in those places. So that impacts the local school district, the local economy, the job market, the housing market, and it affects Hispanic and Blacks, largely. And, creates a situation where housing now, it becomes tough to find affordable housing as there's more competition, right? As demand rises, right? So does the price. So that's what you're seeing. So a lot of Black Americans are speaking out. They're holding press rallies or whatever you call them, but press conferences. They're rallying and they're saying, wait a minute, this is not cool. And I hear that people who are on government assistance have had their, their benefits reduced in order to give benefits to the migrants. This is what I'm being told by several individuals who are receiving benefits. They've had their benefits reduced, I believe, by like $100 a month or something like that. Or I guess, what is it, monthly or bi-monthly? I forget. It's been a while since I Back when I was going to the store with food stamps, they were still like attached to the booklet. You know what I mean? So it's been a minute. Now they got debit cards. So, but yeah, they're getting their money reduced in order to fund migrants, to support migrants and give them money. So, a lot of people are upset, a lot of minorities, but you guys voted for Biden. I told you guys, Biden was one of the biggest racist politicians out there. I mean, the guy had no problem going up in front of Congress and saying some racist things. He didn't care. And here you are. And so you have a lot of Black people now supporting Donald Trump more than ever. But that's nothing new, because in the last election, Black voters for Donald Trump increased, yet he still lost. And don't you guys find it interesting that both men had record number of votes, but Biden still won? So Biden had this crazy record number of votes. Come on. It's all fake. It's all fake, guys. Thank you, Freddie. Anytime, brother. Anytime. I'm supporting you. I like Jose Diaz. There goes Jose Alvarado on the screen. He's challenging him. Guys, I mean, come on. Jose's been given a lot of chances. He's gotten away with a lot of stuff. I'm just saying, there's things that man should have been fired for. So I don't want to hear no one getting fired for nonsense here in the city of Yonkers, because we're going to blow it up. I mean, rally to the walls fall down. You know what I mean? We're going to rally. Right. So if anybody else is getting retaliatory firing, terminations, let us know. Actually, we're looking for individuals who have been fired for retaliatory reasons. People are, wanting to put together some things. So if that's you got to join this group. People are gathering, organizing. So it's a lot. It's a lot of people that have been fired for speaking out. And so, listen, this costs the city more money because people sue and win. And they try to keep that low because they don't want to see that, what they did to these individuals was messed up. And therefore, they got sued. The city was sued. They lost. Yonkers voters deserve the outcome of the elections. If they want change, they need to be more vocal and vote for change. Democrats or Republican vote. Yeah, and this is what I'm saying, right? I was talking to someone today and I said, look, we have to come out. You have to come out and rally. You have to be heard. And they said, well, some people are scared of the retribution, retaliation. Yeah, we know that. Listen, I know, better than anybody, right? Unlike certain person who say, oh, me too, I got a nail in my tire. Anyway, I know about that, but you cannot, if you remain quiet, nothing changes, right? You have to be vocal. You have to come out. You have to be heard. You have to make noise. It's the only way. I mean, Martin Luther King didn't, create the change that he did by simply, whispering it to other people, right? He marched. He walked, right? He walked. He did, sit-ins. They did everything they had to do. They rallied. They Million Man March. What was that? When he marched on Washington, D.C., right? And so many others who fought for, civil rights, equal rights, for whatever, whether it be women or whatever. They were vocal. Yes, people have lost their lives. People have lost their jobs and have been hurt financially. I understand that. But that is part of the fight. And we have to, sometimes fight. We have to fight. We have to fight. This is how I'm saying. Basement Politics, the People's Podcast. Thank you. You are working for us. Absolutely. 1000%. I'm here to bring information. I'm here to bring as much truth as possible. And I get a good truth. My rate of truth is 98, 99%. That's pretty good. And so I may get it wrong, once in a while. But, again, it's truth, folks. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here to put it out there. It may not always be, nice. It may not be sugar-coated, right? It may sting a little bit sometimes, but it has to be said. It's not like I'm doing it to be personal, to attack people, maybe with the Rue Roast guy and that Ben, Brian, whatever his name is. Yeah, that, but that's not side nonsense, folks. But when it comes to this politics, this stuff here, the truth is the truth, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be messy, right? And I'll give you an example. And not to bring up, Miss Skipper, I'm not. I understand it. I know you're going through the health things. I'm sending my prayers. I'm really serious. But I'm not trying to be messy when I mention that. What's messy is it being mentioned to my son on a school bus. That's messy. That creates the mess. And what Freddie does is he goes and grabs his mop, right? And his mop bucket, and he mops it up. I clean up the mess. That's what I'm doing. That's it, so that's being messy. I'm not trying to be messy. I'm trying to put the information out there. Some people may like it. Some people may not like it. Sometimes it may work for you. Sometimes it may not work for you. I've had that. I've had people say, oh, maybe not this, but you want me to put this, but you don't want me to say that. I can't do that. I cannot do that. I have to put it all out there. I do, right? I just have to. It's just what I have to do. I have verified significant information on CJ case is loaded into the cannon. Light the wick, brother. You hear that, folks? Anthony DiMaggio is looking to blast his cannon, pause. On Friday, he wants to, light some fireworks. It's almost the 4th of July. It's almost the 4th. Also, so we'll probably be doing that on Friday. So you make sure you don't miss that show. Also, it's so hypocritical what's going on in Yonkers with the vendetta against Christopher Johnson and the audit of housing. What about the audit of other city electeds and employees' abuses of privilege? Yeah, absolutely. That's true. I mean, Christopher Johnson, who just passed down the screen, he got criticized for the whole sex thing, right? They only targeted Chris Johnson, right? They didn't mention David. Think about it. They mentioned David. They didn't mention, there we go, Dave Tubiolo. They didn't mention Jimmy Nolan, but they went after Chris. They went after Catherine. But then some of them, most of them still engage with an individual that's a sex criminal, right? Sex assault criminal. And they continue to advertise with this person, funding, enabling a person that was convicted of it. That's hypocritical. And then now with the housing, have they audited Tasha Diaz? And she lives in affordable housing. The woman that killed the new affordable housing ordinance back in, there she goes. Back in 2021, you look, she's lost some weight. You see that? See, I've always been skinny. I've always been this way. High school, always. I tried. I've drunk all kinds of different protein drinks. It just doesn't work for me. But I wasn't fat at one point and then got skinny. So pay attention to the people who lost weight, because there's quite a few. I'm not going to name any more names, but I'm just saying. And so I'm just keeping it at that. But, Tasha Diaz, she flip-flopped on the housing ordinance. She lives in affordable housing. Come on. Make that make sense, as they say nowadays. Make that make sense. They scared yet not one Latino, Black, or Arab worked for the mayor on the second floor. Well, in what capacity? Because there's some Arabs that work in City Hall. In what capacity, right? I think there's some Latinos too. What's the second floor? The mayor's office? Oh, for the mayor? He doesn't have anyone from the Arabic community? Well, I don't know. Well, listen, the city of Yonkers is, almost a white and Hispanic population is almost equal. They're both, at 40%. I think white is 46%, Hispanic is 43%. So, maybe the city employees and, elected officials should reflect that a bit more. But we got to get the ones that don't sell out. I mean, come on, don't sell out for a Raptor, a T-Rex or whatever you call those things now. Come on now, no selling out for, little fun toy that you can pull out in the summertime. You know what I mean? But does Tasha's subsidized housing rent reflect her city council income? I don't know. You should ask her. She was just on the screen. And what other income does she get? Is she reporting that other income? That's what we got to know. And is she making money over there at the affordable housing building that she lives in by helping people skip the line? I'm just saying, this is what I heard from someone very close to Miss Diaz. If you pay $500, you will be guaranteed an apartment. The affordable housing scam. I'm sure some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Some like, oh shit, Freddie, that happened to me. Oh, they told me if I pay $500 to the property manager, I'll get to the front of the line. And I know, because I know people personally. So I know this is happening. And so when I hear that Tasha may be involved over there in Jefferson Terrace, it's a big possibility, because that actually happens. And I know. And I can very easily see that. You're the head of the tennis association. You're an elected official. Good way to make some side money. You know what I mean? Everybody's hustling these days. Everybody's hustling days. Yeah, me too. I'm just asking questions also. They only go after Chris. They want to take him out. Shanae Williams. But Shanae Williams, what are you doing? Shanae Williams not working for the people. The people at District 16 County, I mean, look, she spends all her time over there hanging out with her boo, right? And funneling money over him, but she does nothing for the constituents. I know that for a fact. Directors of deputy, yeah. Where are the Hispanic? We need a Hispanic commissioner of the building department, all right? Because there's a lot of Latinos here, Hispanics opening up businesses, buying property, and some of them, again, English is not their first language. So if we can have, more individuals that speak Spanish fluently, that would be a big help to these individuals, right? Because I've been up at the building department and I've seen them trying to communicate. I'm not saying that they did anything wrong. Shout out to the ladies. By the way, ladies, I hear you got raises. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. You know why y'all got the raises, right? We know. We know why. We know why. You deserve it. And you guys, are very nice to me. I appreciate you every time you guys come up in there. So you guys, you ladies, I should say, not guys, they're ladies. Ladies, you deserve it. It's about time, and listen, I'm glad I could help a little bit, right? I don't want no thank yous or nothing, but we put the pressure for the people. You know what I'm saying? We highlighted this, but Tasha Diaz was also, instrumental in that as well. Remember what she said in that meeting about Sam Borelli? I don't know, I'm just saying. Pushing those pilots through. Yeah, that's right. And that's another thing. Again, these pilots are payment in lieu of taxes. These are tax breaks that the developers are receiving. So Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, you can't see her face there. And this guy right here with the hat, he's all about expansion. That's another podcast for another day, if you're with that. But anyway, Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, right? You see her there, right? She doesn't say anything about the pilots. She's approving, her and the rest of the council, approving a lot of zoning changes. She has close connections to the IDA through her boss, Wilson Kimball, who's married to the president of the IDA. So, of course, they're going to get these zoning laws changed for their developer buddies who then build these tall buildings, which get tax breaks from the IDA and other perks and benefits. They even issue bonds on the backs of the taxpayer, Lakeisha. That's right, for the developers, right? They get loans through the city to do their developments. They continue to get wealthy while the people of the Yonkers get nothing. No jobs, no affordable housing. Schools don't change. But you did a great job on the budget, right, Lakeisha? Budget chair on the backs of who? Why don't we put it on the backs of the developers? Stop giving them these tax breaks. Make them pay. We need the money for the schools. But they won't say that. I don't want to make any more comments. I have an open building permit. I already received 4 summons. Really? Damn, John. I got like 20. Lorraine Lopez tried to blow my spot. Don't you have like 20 violations in your daycare for a banner that I have hanging outside? Yeah, because they're messing with me, right? So, and how many other places have banners and don't get violations? Right? So, so it's not for safety reasons. It's for the banner that I have there that they don't want me to have. They want me to get the full, which I'm going to, but which I actually have a $2,000 down payment with the sign guy, but we got to make sure that they're not trying to kick us out because they've been, but I think we're working that out actually. And we're going to come to, a better place, in a next month. Actually, so our summer program is actually doing very well. A lot of people are already enrolling. People are already leaving their deposits. Some parents are even paying in full because they want to ensure their spot. They love our program. And so my wife and I, we've been really excited about this lately. So, hopefully, John, it'll get better for you too. But you know how it goes. You got it. You got it though, John. You can handle a few summonses. Yeah. John is good, man. He's Gucci. John's a very successful guy. He did his things, and it wasn't from cocaine, right, John? It was from his business that's been in operations for now, what, over 30 years, John? And so that's something to be, proud of and something to be said, something that a lot of people have not done. Those who criticize Mr. John Cater, right? They haven't been able to do that, sustain a business for that long and still be successful. So shout out to you for that. Got to give you props. Johnny, maybe if you change your business to a movie studio, it will be approved. Yeah, maybe. That's what Shanae Williams' boyfriend is doing. He's basically set up a business with grant money that was funneled to him by Shanae for his business to cater to the movie industry that's now here in in Yonkers, right? That's what that was. That's what that is, right? They're going to be doing all this production stuff for Lionsgate and other movie production studios that are going to be working out of these studios that they're building all over Yonkers, well, really mostly on the west side, the 22 to 24 studios. That's what they're doing there. It's not about kids. It's not about saving anybody. It's about making a dollar. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. 35 years, even longer. Limogate. Yeah. 35 years. Congratulations, John. So that's an accomplishment that not many people can say. I mean, remember Mike Breen's hot dog business went out of business. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Basement Politics. Unfiltered. Get out of your pipe and smoke it.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics, the place where truth lives and corruption dies. I got to speak on it all, but my goal is never to be offensive or disrespectful. And if I am, then you're going to know it because I'm going to say I'm being disrespectful and offensive. I just come out and say it, right? But my goal is not to, especially when I don't intentionally mean to. I definitely always want to send my apologies to people, but I support, those people that I support and that I've had on my show, to support. That's not going to change. It's just all about transparency, putting information out there, showing you folks the pattern and the culture that exists here in the city of Yonkers. It's nothing new. It's nothing new at all. Look at McLean Ave. Stores by Connor Park have zero or abandoned signage. Looks disgusting. No oversight or enforcement. Wonder what violations have been given. I've reached out several times to our councilman. Nothing happens. Absolutely. And there's another individual who owns a property on Nepperhan who has abandoned cars all on an easement that technically he owns, but it's an easement to be used by other property owners there. And these abandoned cars remain, have not been towed, no tickets to this property owner, and nothing. In fact, the only property owner that got a ticket was the one that complained about the abandoned cars. That's how it is here in the city of Yonkers. Congratulations, Johnny Limo. Johnny wins. Johnny wins.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
That's me. That's right. I'm not crazy. I'm a father. I'm a proud father, loving husband. It's amazing the people that say that I'm crazy and mentally unstable. Let's compare police records. Let's compare, medical records, right? Because they've had to see psychiatrists and all that. They've been mandated. Anger management, all this crap, drug counseling and testing, probation, jail time, and they call the one guy that has zero, none of that, mentally unstable and crazy. Unbelievable. But shout out to all our parents. We love you. And some of them do see that stuff, Ruro. So you can leave it up there because it's not stopping the people. They tell us they see it and they say, but we know who you are. So I kind of like it. Keep it up there, buddy. I don't give two craps. We know who we are. Our work speaks for itself. We ain't going nowhere. We in it for the long haul. Eventually, we will have a list of people trying to get into our educational programs because we truly care about what we do. We are passionate, and you will see the results with your child. You should see the improvements some of our kids made. In fact, the video I recently put up of the kids talking were two kids that were not communicating when they first came to Little Prodigies. And not only are they counting, knowing their numbers, knowing their letters, they can tell you what they want. They can tell you bye. Thank you. It's awesome. That's the best work. That's rewarding. That's real impact. So check us out.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
That's my baby right there. That's my wife. I'm always going to love and protect and defend her, especially against, injustices, negativity, evil, spirits, evil vibes, evil negative energy, those that have, negative, desires, wishing to see us or her not do well. I'm going to protect her from those individuals. And, it is what it is. It is what it is. And so, just think twice, because, when you're doing something wrong, it's going to come out. As they say, it comes out in the wash. And so if you're going to, decide to come for us through lies and, other nefarious means, it's going to be exposed. And I'm not going to stop till it is exposed. And you see how I operate, right? And that doesn't mean violence, all right? So stop with the nonsense, because, again, I have zero history of any of that. And there's individuals that actually are allowed a lot more access than me, that are a lot more danger to our children and our community. That's a fact. It's documented, yet you ignore that. But you want to keep Freddie away because Freddie is the truth teller. And so if you're going to tell lies, I'm going to tell truths. And we'll see what happens.
Freddie wins. Fatality. Over.
No!
I can guarantee you that. Yeah, Johnny, the Johnny Limo Show. You ain't crazy, just as satisfied like the rest of us. Keep it going, Freddie. I absolutely will. But it's just incredible. It's like a criminal with a criminal record calling me a criminal, and I have no criminal record. That's basically what it is. That's what they're doing. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, Tasha Diaz assaulted people. She's threatened to assault people. There's audio of her threatening to assault other council members. She's threatened to assault constituents. Come on. It's unbelievable. So the fact that individuals say this, especially elected officials, because they've said it also, should tell you who they are, right? That should say everything about them and why we need to choose differently this year. If they'll lie to us like that, what else are they lying to us about, right?
Freddie
If
wins.
they'll lie to ruin
Fatality.
someone's reputation in the community, what else will they do? We have to be careful with them. Look at that slickster. Well, you don't see what I see. So, there you go. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Have a beautiful night.
Freddie wins. Fatality. Over.
No!
Jose Ramon got a lot of signatures. What was his payoff?